You ever notice how some kids grow up thinking money appears magically in their parents' wallet, while others are calculating compound interest before they hit puberty? I'm talking about kids who understand the difference between an asset and a liability while their classmates are still asking if money grows on trees. It's not about being smarter. It's about being taught differently. And in Jewish households, the money conversation doesn't start when you're 18 filling out college loan forms. It starts way earlier, around the same time you're learning to tie your shoes and say please and thank you. Money isn't a taboo subject save for closed-door adult conversations. It's woven into everyday life, like learning to read or ride a bike. Growing up, I remember sitting at the dinner table while my parents discussed everything openly. Not in a scary way, but in a matter-of-fact way. My mom would say things like, "We're saving for the new roof, so this month we're eating more chicken and less steak." My dad would explain why he chose one insurance policy over another, breaking down premiums and deductibles like he was teaching a class. I didn't realize until much later that most families don't do this. Most kids have no idea what their parents earn, what things cost, or why financial decisions are made the way they are. Money is this mysterious force that either appears or doesn't, and the reasons remain hidden behind a curtain of adult secrecy. But Jewish parents often operate differently. They pull back that curtain early. They explain, they involve, they teach. Not because they want to burden their kids with stress, but because they understand something crucial, that knowledge is protection, and the earlier you learn, the better prepared you'll be. So today I'm breaking down the core money lesson that Jewish families teach their children early, a lesson that fundamentally shapes how they view wealth, spending, saving, and security for the rest of their lives. This isn't about genetics or secret advantage. It's about intentional education, cultural values passed down through generations, and practical wisdom that any parent can adopt starting today. Quick question: where in the world are you watching this from? Seriously, drop your city below, because I love knowing this content is reaching people everywhere, from different backgrounds, all learning together. Makes this whole conversation richer. Alright, let's dive into the lesson that changes everything. Here's the first thing Jewish kids learn about money, and it's deceptively simple. Money is a tool, not a treasure. Sounds basic, right? But think about how most people treat money. They worship it, fear it, chase it, hoard it, spend it emotionally. Money becomes this charged thing tied to identity, status, self-worth. But in Jewish culture, especially the way it's taught to children, money is demystified early. It's treated like a hammer or a calculator. Useful, necessary, but not magical, not sacred. I remember my grandfather showing me his wallet when I was maybe 7 years old. He pulled out bills, counted them slowly, then said something I'll never forget. "This paper? It's only valuable because we all agree it is. But what you do with it, that's where the real value lives." He wasn't being philosophical for fun. He was teaching me that money itself is neutral. It's the decisions you make with it that matter. That mindset shift is massive. When kids learn early that money is just a tool, they don't grow up with weird emotional baggage around it. They don't overspend to fill voids. They don't hoard out of fear. They don't attach their self-worth to their bank account balance. Instead, they approach money rationally, strategically, like someone using the right tool for the right job. You need shelter? Money helps with that. You need education? Money facilitates it. You want security? Money, properly managed, provides it. But the money itself isn't the goal. The life it enables is the goal. And that clarity, taught young, creates a completely different relationship with wealth. Kids raised with this understanding grow into adults who save intentionally, spend purposefully, and invest wisely, because they see money for what it truly is, a means to an end, not the end itself. Now here's where it gets really practical. Jewish kids are taught the value of earning before spending, not as punishment but as education. I'm talking about kids who run lemonade stands, but instead of keeping all the profit for candy, they're taught to split it. Some for saving, some for spending, some for giving. It's structured, intentional. My cousin Sarah got her first allowance at age 8, but it wasn't free money for existing. It was tied to responsibilities. She had to track it in a little notebook her dad gave her. Income on one side, expenses on the other. Every week they'd sit down together and review it. Where did your money go this week? Did you spend wisely? Did you save some? What did you learn? She hated it at first. Thought it was tedious. But by the time she was 12, she understood budgeting better than most adults. She knew that earning money required effort, that spending it required thought, and that saving it required discipline. That early training wired her brain differently. Compare that to kids who just get money whenever they ask. No structure, no tracking, no conversation. They grow up thinking money is infinite, that it just appears when needed. Then they hit adulthood and reality crashes down hard. Credit card debt, impulse purchases, no savings, financial chaos. But kids raised with earning and tracking built into their routine, they enter adulthood with a foundation most people spend decades trying to build after the fact. They already know how to delay gratification. They already understand opportunity cost. They've already experienced the satisfaction of saving toward a goal and reaching it. And that's not privilege. That's preparation. Any parent can do this starting today. Give your kid responsibilities tied to small earnings. Teach them to track it. Sit with them and review it. Make money conversations normal, not shameful or secret. The earlier you start, the deeper the lesson sinks in. Let's talk about something most people avoid teaching kids altogether: failure. Specifically, financial failure. In Jewish households, mistakes with money aren't swept under the rug. They're dissected, discussed, learned from. It's not about shaming. It's about extracting wisdom. I knew a kid, Jacob, who saved up his allowance for months to buy this expensive toy he saw in a commercial. His parents didn't stop him. They let him buy it. 3 days later, he was bored with it, realized it wasn't worth the hype. His dad didn't say, "I told you so." Instead, he sat Jacob down and asked questions. What did you learn from this? Would you make the same choice again? What could you have done differently? That conversation taught Jacob more about buyer's remorse, marketing manipulation, and impulse control than any lecture ever could. Because he experienced it. He felt the sting of wasted money. And his parents turned that sting into a teaching moment instead of a shameful secret. Jewish culture has this long tradition of learning through questioning and discussion. It's Talmudic in nature. You don't just accept things, you question, debate, analyze. And that same approach gets applied to money. When a financial mistake happens, and it will, the question isn't who's to blame. The question is, what can we learn? That removes the shame and focuses on growth. Kids raised this way don't develop a fear of failure. They develop resilience. They understand that losing money on a bad decision isn't the end of the world. It's information. It's education. And the faster you learn from it, the less likely you are to repeat it. Contrast that with families where money mistakes are hidden, where parents shield kids from any financial struggle or error. Those kids grow up fragile. The first time they make a major financial mistake as adults, they crumble. They have no framework for recovery because they were never taught that failure is part of the learning process. But Jewish kids? They've been training for setbacks their whole lives. They've made small mistakes early, learned the lessons, and built the muscle to recover and adjust. Here's a big one that doesn't get talked about enough. Jewish children are taught early that wealth isn't just personal, it's communal. There's this concept called tzedakah, which gets translated as charity. But it's deeper than that. It's not optional giving when you feel generous. It's obligatory. It's justice. It's responsibility. Even kids with tiny allowances are taught to set aside a portion for tzedakah. Not someday when they're rich. Right now, with the little they have. I had a friend, Rachel, whose parents gave her a pushki, a little charity box, when she was 6. Every week, before she could spend any of her allowance, she had to put coins in that box. She'd complain sometimes. "But it's my money," her mom would calmly explain. Yes, and part of having money is recognizing that you're part of something bigger. People helped us when we needed it. Now we help others. That lesson stuck. Today, Rachel runs a nonprofit. Not because she's a saint, but because she was wired from childhood to see wealth as something to be circulated, not hoarded. She understands that financial success carries responsibility. That your wealth isn't just for building bigger houses or buying fancier cars. It's for strengthening the community around you. And here's what's brilliant about teaching this early. It prevents the toxic relationship with money that so many wealthy people develop later. The guilt, the paranoia, the isolation. When you grow up understanding that wealth comes with responsibility, that giving is part of the cycle, you don't feel guilty for having money. You feel motivated to use it well. You see yourself as a steward, not just an owner. And that mindset creates generational wealth because it's not about hoarding everything for yourself. It's about building something sustainable that benefits everyone, including future generations who'll carry the same values forward. All right, last piece, and this might be the most important. Jewish kids are taught that financial education never stops. It's not a one-time talk. It's an ongoing conversation that evolves as they grow. When they're young, it's about coins and saving. When they're teens, it's about interest rates and credit. When they're adults, it's about investments and estate planning. The learning never ends because the financial world never stops changing. My parents used to take me to the bank with them. Boring, right? But they'd explain what they were doing. We're depositing this check. It'll earn interest. That means the bank pays us a little bit for keeping our money there. Small details, but they added up. By the time I was a teenager, I understood banking basics that some of my friends didn't learn until college. And it wasn't because I was smarter. It was because my parents treated financial literacy like reading literacy. Essential, continuous, non-negotiable. Jewish families also rely heavily on mentorship. Uncles, aunts, grandparents, family friends, they all contribute to a child's financial education. It's collective. If your dad's not great at explaining investments, your uncle steps in. If your mom doesn't understand real estate, your aunt who owns rental properties walks you through it. Knowledge flows freely because the community benefits when everyone is educated. That approach creates young adults who enter the workforce already understanding retirement accounts, tax strategies, compound interest, and risk management. Not because they took a special class, but because it was woven into their upbringing like learning manners or family recipes. And the beautiful thing? This isn't genetic. This isn't exclusive. Any family, any culture, any background can adopt this exact approach. Start the money conversations early. Make them normal. Teach earning, saving, giving. Let kids make small mistakes and learn from them. Show them that wealth is a tool and a responsibility. Keep the education going as they grow. That's it. That's the formula. So what's the money lesson Jews teach early that changes everything? It's not one single trick. It's a mindset, a framework, a cultural commitment to financial literacy starting in childhood. It's teaching kids that money is a tool, that earning matters, that mistakes are teachers, that wealth carries responsibility, and that learning never stops. It's demystifying money, removing the shame, and replacing fear with knowledge. And the result? Young adults who enter the world financially confident, emotionally balanced around wealth, and equipped to build security for themselves and contribute to their communities. These aren't billionaire secrets. These are kitchen table lessons, and every single one of them is available to you right now, today, to start teaching the young people in your life. Right now, think about the money lesson you wish someone had taught you when you were young, and drop it in the comments. Just write "I wish I'd learned" and complete the thought. Your insight might be exactly what another parent needs to read today, and I genuinely learn from these conversations just as much as you do. That like button isn't just a thumbs up, it's your way of saying this kind of real, practical wisdom deserves to reach more people who need it. So go ahead and click it. Subscribe, because you're about to see things in the next videos that connect money, psychology, culture, and success in ways that'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's coming, but I will tell you this. The patterns that separate those who build lasting wealth from those who constantly struggle, the overlooked strategies hiding in plain sight, the conversations that unlock entirely new possibilities, all of that is exactly where we're headed, and you're going to want to be here when it drops.